All you guys following along will know that although I'm brand new to this marketing caper, I have been self-employed and running my own businesses for the last 5 years. I can't recall the number of courses and training sessions that I've completed over that time where it was almost drilled into us to make sure we're niching down and getting super specific on who our ideal client is. For years, that didn't make sense. I wanted to be able to work with and coach anybody, and I felt massive resistance to narrowing down because in my mind, that meant excluding everybody else. So today, I want to explain why I am changing my mind on this, and I am thinking about how I can get super specific on who my ideal client is. Hello there, and welcome to the From Zero to Marketing Hero podcast. My name's Paul Heron, and this podcast is all about documenting my journey over the next 12 months of creating, posting, sharing a podcast episode every single day, all in the hope of finally getting my head around some of these marketing strategies and tools so I can finally start attracting my perfect ideal client into my world on my own terms. So I've made it all the way to day number 38. And I know I've said this before, but I really am pinching myself in some ways that I have been able to show up so many days in a row with fresh ideas, fresh thoughts, and excited about sharing what I'm up to. Now, what's on my mind today is back to this vision of who my ideal client is. For the last 38 days now, I've been saying in my intro that the point of all this, or the goal behind this whole exercise, is to be able to find ways to be able to attract my ideal client into my world. But who is my ideal client? And that's what I'm thinking about today. One of the problems that I've had up to this point is that there is a little bit of a conflict between narrowing down and the way that I've been bringing clients into my world up to this point. If you've been following along, you would have heard me talk about the system that I've set up that I currently use through purchasing leads through bark.com. Now, it's been fantastic and I've found a way to really get it to work for me. But one of the downsides is that I don't know too much about the specifics of what the leads are actually looking for until I make that decision to purchase the lead. So I regularly find myself in interesting conversations where on the hop, I need to be open to being very curious and exploring the challenges that the particular prospect is experiencing and making a decision myself whether I think this is someone that I think I'd be well suited to helping. And often I am, and we come to a mutual agreement and we start the process of working together, which has been awesome. But one thing that I have come to realize is now that I'm applying my efforts, time, energy to understanding marketing, this broad approach is not going to work. And I think partially this is where a lot of my resistance to moving away from my existing process is coming from. I enjoy the variety, but as I've mentioned in a previous episode as well, this process has also led me to bring a few clients into my business that I probably in hindsight would agree that I'm not perfectly suited to. It's also led to a situation where there have been many sales calls and conversations that I've had to work my way through to get to the point where I realize that we're not quite the right match. What I've come to realize over the last few weeks, really thinking and learning about marketing, and particularly now deciding what my next plan or my marketing strategy is going to be for the month of May, is who is my marketing message aimed at? So even though up to this point there has been huge resistance in actually narrowing down, I have done this exercise quite a few times over the last 5 years. So over the last few days, I've gone and pulled out all my notes, and there are a few consistencies that have come up regularly when I've done this exercise. My ideal client is really a previous version of me. The demographic questions and the psychographic questions that I've completed in the past all come back to an avatar or an ideal client that very much resembles where I was about 5 years ago. And I think this is a really important first step, but I think even this isn't enough. For me to really start to get some clarity on what my messaging needs to look like, I need to have a deeper understanding of the specific problems and challenges that my ideal client is experiencing. And in many ways, this becomes even more daunting a prospect to narrow down onto, because not only have I identified who my ideal client is, I need to start thinking about exactly where in their timeline they are. If I think about my own journey, there was a period of leading up to making that decision to leave the corporate world where resentment was building. I knew I was made for more. There was the key decision of quitting and starting my first business. There's been 5+ years of ups and downs and pivoting and finally coming to a place where I feel content and I feel like I've got much more certainty in my ability to be able to make a success of all this. But even right now, I know that there is so much further to go. Now, if I look back over my timeline, at any point in time, there were very specific challenges that I potentially could have done with some help overcoming. I have actually worked with 3 or 4 coaches personally and directly over that period, which have been invaluable. And in each occurrence, I was working on a very specific challenge for that particular time. So this is what I'm continuing to spend some time thinking through this week. There are a few specific ideas that I am mulling over, which is exciting, but looking at it in this way really has helped put into perspective what I'm trying to achieve here. Whatever I land on as this iteration of who my ideal client is and the specific problem that they are experiencing that I want to try and tackle, it is just going to serve as a target for me to aim my marketing attempts throughout the month of May at. One thing that did stick in a training that I did a few years ago was an analogy of a dartboard. Going through this exercise will help us get super specific on the exact problem, challenge that our ideal client is facing. It'll help us get super specific on who they are. And we can imagine that them and their problem are the center. They're the bullseye in the center of the dartboard. And then what we do is try and create a marketing message that speaks directly to that avatar. What we will end up with is some of the messages that we fire out will land with people in and around that vicinity. It's not all going to land directly on top of that bullseye. But the feedback that we get from all of our marketing efforts will help us refine and improve our message as we flow through this cycle of continuous improvement. So my challenge over the next few days, as I still prepare for my marketing plan for next month, is to come up with a statement and a problem describing who my ideal client is. But more importantly, where they're at specifically in their timeline and what the specific challenge is that they're working on. Now, I'm very, very new to this, as you guys know, if you've been following along, but this all makes sense. I can understand how a vague message just is not going to talk specifically to anybody, but a super specific message targeted directly at a specific problem is going to resonate with the right person. And that's exactly what this is all about. So that's my job over the next couple of days. I might leave it there for today. I hope you're getting some value from this. In many ways, it is just me thinking out loud and clarifying the thoughts that I'm having about what I need to do next. So it's providing a ton of value for me personally. And as I say, I hope you're getting some value from it as well. If you are getting value, I would really appreciate you considering hitting the subscribe button or maybe even leaving a review if you're really enjoying the show. The second thing that I would love you guys to do is to reach out and let me know what you think. If you have any comments, questions, any suggestions that you think I can take on board, please reach out and let me know. The best way to get in touch is through my website, paulheronlifecoaching.com. There's a form there where you can get in touch. You can join a Facebook group that I've set up, which is a fantastic way to have these conversations and to share our ideas and thoughts with everyone else. And you can even make an inquiry about coming onto the show if you've got some value to add and you've been able to master some of this stuff yourself. I'd love to hear from you. So until tomorrow, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Bye for now.